Good morning. My name's Sarah Middleton and I'm speaking to you today from Pegasus Art, an art shop in Gloucestershire. Thank you very much to them for allowing us to film here. I'm talking to you today about a wonderful painting called the Arnolfini Portrait by Jan van Eyck. And this is for the January issue of the Artist magazine. And my aim is to just do a quick sort of 10-minute little look at it and an introduction to this amazing painting. Throughout the series, each month I'll be looking at a different masterpiece, taking you all the way through from Renaissance to very contemporary work. So please follow me here and we can enjoy looking at these works together. They're really fascinating and let's have some fun looking at them. So here we are. This is the Arnolfini portrait. This was painted in 1434. It's an oil on oak panels, 3 oak panels, vertical boards, and it's housed at the National Gallery. So who are these two figures? This was in fact suggested to be, although unverified, nobody knows for sure, but a marriage portrait. And this is Giovanni di Niccolao Arnolfini and his wife-to-be, a woman from Bruges. I absolutely love this painting. It's so intriguing. It's so full of detail, exquisitely painted and quite unusual for its time. Before now, paintings were usually much more two-dimensional and flat. This has a level of realism that hasn't been seen before. It's one of the few 15th century Northern European paintings to show people in a domestic setting in everyday life. So it feels quite intimate. It feels like it's a sort of a social comment. We can see a lot from the life and times of the 15th century through this work. So it's really fascinating historically. So the painting itself has obviously awe-inspiring brushwork, the subject matter, the intensity of colour, perspective and social comment, as I say, makes it one of the finest. So a little bit about Jan van Eyck. He worked for, as the court painter to Count John of Holland from 1422 to 24. Born in Belgium in 1319, he was working in The Hague and then worked for Count John of Holland before moving to the court of Burgundy, where he worked as a court painter. We know that in courts across Europe, painters, the very best painters, scientists, writers were sort of poached and attracted, well paid and looked after in these courts. Obviously we know the courts of Italy, Milan, Florence, Rome, and the same was the case in France. So Jan van Eyck, Belgian painter, was asked to work for this court. Duke Philip the Good of Burgundy says, "We will nowhere be able to find his equal in art and science," when referring to Jan van Eyck. So yeah, one of the best. So yes, 15th century Burgundian Netherlands. This was a completely new kind of painting that was emerging. One with high realism and radically different to what had gone before. And one of the main reasons for this was the introduction of oil paints. So prior to this, artists had worked with tempera, which was ground pigments in egg whites mixed together, painted into wet plaster and left to dry to a very sort of matte finish. You know, there was only so much they could do with that, and you know, incredible masterpieces such as The Last Supper by Da Vinci, as an example. They obviously didn't last. They didn't have any longevity, and you know, we've gone to great pains to restore them. But anyway, suddenly here we are with the oil painting on wood, and then canvas introduced into the mix in the Renaissance. But it was an absolute game changer. Artists were able to layer up the paint and create this real depth and luminosity. They could use mediums and glazes, such as they were back then, obviously ground pigments and binders, to create this amazing luminosity. And in fact, at Pegasus, we sell an amazing range of paints that have a real historical pedigree. We sell paints from Rembrandt paints that were available from the 1800s, and in fact, sorry, just going off camera there, paints, artist oils from Old Holland, which originate from 1664. So it just to, you know, exemplify, you know, the real heritage that these paints have. Some of the earliest that we are selling here from the Netherlands obviously wouldn't have come in the silver tube, that was introduced much later. But yes, just to make that point. So yes, let's help to decode some of these symbols and tell you a bit more about the painting itself. So Giovanni di Niccolao Arnolfini and his wife-to-be, who lived in Bruges. Just hold the portrait there for you. Some historians, such as Erwin Panofsky, consider this painting a unique form of marriage contract recorded as a painting. He argued that the elaborate signature on the back wall, which you can see here above the mirror, showed that this painting was a legal record of the occasion, complete with the witnesses shown here. That is unsubstantiated and we don't know for sure. And I'll just show you a little close-up. So that is the signature of Jan van Eyck. And it says, Johannes de Eyck, Huitik, 1434. Jan van Eyck was here in 1434. The painter was fond of incorporating his signature within his paintings, sometimes carved on bedheads and frames. So really fascinating. So much detail in this painting, and you can see on one side of the mirror are these beautiful beads. It's said that, an amazing brush here, it is said that these beads were painted with a magnifying glass to get the detail such as it was. And you can see inside the convex mirror here a couple, and Van Eyck has cleverly played around with the reflection, and it shows the reverse of a couple, you know, from behind of this couple, and unlike Velázquez in Las Meninas, it doesn't show the artist, although there is a figure there with a red turban. So it's unknown, but an amazing detail. And you can see the fur on the tunic of Arnolfini there, probably sable fur. You can see the fur trim. That's probably ermine fur, the white, beautiful fur from the ermine, used to trim only the very wealthiest of people. A lovely pair of shoes here. There's a dog here shown in the foreground. That's a symbol of marriage and fertility, and these amazing clogs. Absolutely wonderful. The floorboards giving us the perspective. Amazing light and shadow. We can see here some oranges. That was another symbol of wealth, an orange here on the windowsill. These amazing bullseye reflective glass window frames. It's incredible, isn't it, really, that such things existed at that time. So a beautiful portrait. We believe it is in the drawing room of this couple. Such was the fashion at that time that they would have had a bed in a drawing room used for entertaining and for people to sit on. Beautiful Persian rug here. So much detail. These kind of surface effects were not possible before. He's now able to present natural light coming through the window, illuminating the facial features of his subjects, the reflections of the grand brass chandelier, the subtle shadows throughout, and the three-dimensionality of artwork that had not been seen before. This masterpiece was an early purchase of the National Gallery in 1842. I could just show you a portrait of Giovanni di Niccolao Arnolfini here. He was a wealthy Italian merchant, as is shown in all of those symbols in the painting. His hooded eyes and his haughty expression and his very flamboyant carmine red turban shown there. So yes, these portraits were suddenly able to glow with real depth, showing us the opulence of the merchant's life. And it is a wonderful portrait. It's one of my favourites. I urge you to go online and have a look in a bit more detail yourself. Even better, go to the National Gallery. And I really look forward to next month talking to you about The Birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli, another 15th century painter, obviously in a completely different style, but we'll talk again about the use of oil paint and this kind of rebirth, reworking of subjects in the birth of Venus. It's a kind of looking back at classical themes. This one is special, as I say, because it's in an everyday environment and gives us so much information about the life and times of Van Eyck and his subjects. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next month.